so scared of how low it's getting. I'm worried I'll have to buy another candle for these videos soon. See, look how low it is. I also just spent 15 minutes. 15 minutes. 15 full minutes. Searching for this lighter because I could not find it anywhere. I'm really hoping I can get a new desk soon because the glass against glass sound, I am not here for it. It is such a loud noise. I'm gonna move that back there. Move this lid. Lid. Also over to the left. Bring this a little closer. Okay, so I think, let's see, I do want to do more Greek stories. I love Greek stories, but I think it would also be nice to go over some other ones. Let's see. I want to read The Kitchen God in Chinese. Let's do that. It's on page 164. Oh, there's several on this page. Okay. I'm moving everywhere. Okay. So we're gonna read this part. We might just go down the list, honestly. So, this is a Chinese myth and legend, and is the kitchen god. This important deity is said to be a Taoist invention, a god entrusted with the power to punish and reward members of the family under his supervision. In the old days, every Chinese household created a temple for him in a small niche above the kitchen stove, where an incense stick burned continuously. From this position, the kitchen god kept an account of how well the family behaved, compiling his annual report for the attention of the supreme being of the heavens. At New Year, he was destined to return to the firmament to present his report, and he was sent away. He was sent on his way with a great deal of ceremony. Firecrackers were lit and a lavish meal prepared to improve his mood. His mouth was smeared with honey so that only sweet words would escape his lips when he stood before the Supreme Being. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what I expected when I read the words kitchen god, but I don't know that I was expecting that. But that's nice. I like that. I like things where it's kind of hard to tell the origin because it's it touched so many families and so many people's lives that you can't really tell where it started. Kind of like stuff like that. I'm assuming the door gods is kind of similar. It was the important task of these gods to ward off undesirable visitors and evil spirits from Chinese households, and often pictures of ferocious warriors were pinned on either side of the door for this purpose. These pictures represented two war ministers of outstanding ability from the Tang Dynasty who were deified after death to become the door gods. I have never actually read the word deified. That's a cool word. The story unfolds that one day the emperor fell gravely ill with high fever, and during the night he imagined he heard demons in the passageway attempting to gain entry into his chamber. The emperor grew increasingly delirious and everyone became concerned for his health. Eventually it was decided that the two of his finest warriors, Qin Shu Bao and Hu Jingde, which should stand guard overnight outside his door. For the first time in many weeks, the emperor slept soundly and peacefully. Next morning he thanked his men heartily, and from that time onwards his health continued to improve. Soon he felt well enough to release his men from their nocturnal duty, but he ordered them to have their portraits painted, looking as fierce as they possibly could, so that he could paste these on his bedroom door to keep evil spirits away in the future. It's kind of cool. Let's read the God of the Elements, or the Gods of the Elements, multiples. Then we'll move on probably to Greek myths, I would say. The number of spirits and guardians associated with the elements in Chinese legend is vast. Each of these elements is managed by a ministry in the heavens, composed of a large number of celestial officials. Members of these ministries are the most powerful of the guardian spirits, since they control the unpredictable forces on earth such as fire, thunder, lightning, wind, and rain. Natural disasters caused by these forces occur again and again in Chinese mythology. It is always crucial in these stories to maintain a favorable relationship with the god in charge. The Ministry of Thunder, to take but one example, has a complicated infrastructure. It is presided over by the ancestor of thunder, Lei Kung, followed by other officials in order of seniority. Lei Kong, the Duke of Thunder, Den Mu, the Mother of Lightning, Feng Po, the Count of Wind, Yu Shi, the Master of Rain, and a string of other lesser gods. The Duke of Thunder, Lei Kung, is represented in Chinese legend as an ugly black creature with clawed feet and a monkey's head. In his hand he holds a chisel which he uses to beat on a drum, producing a ferocious noise of thunder. A popular story about him recalls how one day a youth who had been chopping firewood high in the mountains noticed a thunderstorm approaching and took shelter under a large tree. Suddenly a great fork of lightning struck the tree, dropping the Duke of Thunder underneath its great weight as it fell to the ground. Lei Kung begged the youth to release him, promising to reward him handsomely, until finally the terrified youth agreed to his request. In return for his help, the Duke of Thunder presented him with a book which could teach him to conjure up storms and tempests. When you need rain, the god told him, call on one of my 4 brothers and they will come to your aid, but don't call on me unless it's really necessary because my mood is often unpredictable. After he said this, Lei Kung disappeared and the youth headed back to his village. Within no time, he had become a popular figure among the people who regularly took the opportunity to celebrate his great powers in the local inn. One night, however, the youth became so drunk and disorderly. He was arrested and carried off by the police. The following morning, as he was led to court, he called upon the God of Thunder to save him from imprisonment. The god responded immediately and thundered through the air so loudly that the windows of the courthouse were shattered by the noise. Cowering to the floor in terror, the magistrate ordered the youth to be released and dismissed him from the court without imposing any sentence. From this day onwards, the youth used his power to save many people, for whenever he saw that there was danger of the land becoming dried out, he ordered a great storm to appear overhead and the rains to saturate the soil below. I think these are kind of interesting to me because in the other myths you can kind of see them connect to other mythology and you can see where the similar stories come from, but each culture has their own that's like, this is from here and there's nothing similar to it. And I feel like that is one of them where it's just like so specific to China that it's not anywhere else. So I've never read that before And I keep saying that's really cool, but it really is just neat. It's also, these stories are much more, are much sweeter than, let's say, the ones that we read last time about Narcissus. They seem to be ending a little bit better, so we'll see how that goes. You can see my little notes in some of these. Let's see. I read Orpheus and Eurydice last time. Let's see. Honestly, I'm looking at these Greek ones and I'm like thinking of the story and I'm like, I don't want to read that. That's so sad. Let's see. It's so hard to choose because all of them are like so interesting to my brain. Let's look at the creation myth of the Iroquois. It's on page 320. Ooh, that's a long story. That's okay. We'll read the long story. It'll take me forever, and I'll be breathing heavy, but that's okay. Okay. At the dawn of creation, before mankind ever existed, the universe comprised two separate worlds. The lower world was a place of eternal darkness, peopled only by creatures of the water, while the upper world, a kingdom of bright light, was inhabited by the great ruler and his family. The goddess Adahensink was daughter of the great ruler, and at this time she was heavy with child and very close to her time of confinement. As the hour drew near, her relatives persuaded her to lie down on a soft mattress, wrapping her in a ray of light so that her weary body would gather strength and refreshment for the task ahead. But as soon as she closed her eyes, the bed on which she lay began to sink without warning through the thick clouds, plunging rapidly towards the lower world beneath her. Dazzled and alarmed by the descending light, the monsters and creatures of the world of the great water held an emergency council to decide what should be done. If the being from above falls on us, says the water hen, it will surely destroy us. We must quickly find a place where it can rest. Only the Oda, the earth which lies at the very bottom of the water, will be strong enough to hold it, said the beaver. I will swim down and bring some back with me, but the beaver never returned from his search. Then the duck volunteered himself for the same duty, but soon his dead body floated up to the surface. Finally, however, the muskrat came forward. I know the way better than anyone, he told the others, but the Oda is extremely heavy and will grow very fast. Who is prepared to bear its weight when I appear with it? The turtle, who was by far the most capable among them, readily agreed to suffer the load. Shortly afterwards, the muskrat returned with a small quantity of the Oda in his paw, which he smoothed onto the turtle's back. It began to spread rapidly, and as soon as it had reached a satisfactory size for the light to rest on, two birds soared into the air and bore the goddess on their outstretched wings down toward the water and safely onto the turtle's back. From that day onwards, the turtle Earth-bearer, and whenever the seas rise up in great waves, the people know that it is the turtle stirring in his bed. A considerable island of earth now floated on the waves, providing a timely shelter, for soon Adahensic began to hear two voices within her womb, one soft and soothing, the other loud and aggressive, and she knew that her mission to people the island was close at hand. The conflict continued within as one of her twin infants sought to pass out under the side of his mother's arm, while the other held him back, attempting to spare his mother the unnecessary pain. Both entered into the world in their own individual way, the first bringing trouble and strife, the second bringing freedom and peace. The goddess wisely accepted that it must be so, and named her bringing freedom and peace. And named her children. This is going to be the worst pronunciation you've ever heard of this. Hagwedihu, anxious to bring beauty to the island. Whoa. Sorry. The goddess wisely accepted that it must be so, and named her children Hagwedihu, meaning good mind, and Hagwedatka, meaning bad mind. Each went his way. Hagwedihu, anxious to bring beauty to the island. Hagwedatka, determined that darkness and evil should prevail. Not long after she had given birth, Adahensic passed away, and the island grew dim in the dawn of its new life. Knowing the goddess would not have wished it this way, Hagwedihu lifted his palm high into the air and began molding the sky with his fingers. After he had done this, he took his mother's head from her body and placed it firmly in the center of the firmament. "You shall be known as the sun," he announced, "and your face shall light up this new world where you shall rule forever." But his brother saw all of this good work and set darkness into the west sky, forcing the sun down behind it. Hagwedihu would not be beaten, however, and removing a portion of his mother's breast, he cast it upwards, creating an orb inferior to the sun, yet capable of illuminating the darkness. Then he surrounded the orb with numerous spots of light, giving them the name of stars, and ordering them to regulate the days, nights, seasons, and years. When he had completed this work above, he turned his attention to the soil beneath his feet. To the barren earth he gave the rest of his mother's body, from which the seeds of all future life were destined to spring forth. The good mind continued the works of creation, refusing all rest until he had accomplished everything he had set out to do. All over the land he formed creeks and rivers, valleys and hills, luscious pastures and evergreen forests. He created numerous species of animals to inhabit the forests, from the smallest to the greatest, and filled the seas and lakes with fishes and mammals of every variety and color. He appointed thunder to water the earth and winds to scatter pollen, so that in time the island became fruitful and productive. But all was not yet complete, for Hagwedihu wisely observed that a greater being was needed to take possession of the great island, and so he began forming two images from the dust of the ground in his own likeness. To these he gave the name Agwehao, meaning the real people, and by breathing into their nostrils he gave them living souls. When the earth was created and Hagwedihu had bestowed a protective spirit upon every object of his creation, he went out in search of his brother, hoping to persuade him to abandon his evil and vicious existence. But the bad mind was already at work, intent on destroying all evidence of Hagwedihu's remarkable labor. Without much effort, he overcame the guardian spirits he encountered and marched throughout the island, bending the rivers, sundering the mountains, gnarling the forest, and destroying food crops. He created lethal reptiles to injure mankind, led ferocious monsters into the sea, and gathered great hurricanes in the sky. Still dissatisfied with the devastation, however, he began making 2 images of the clay in the form of humans, aiming to create a more superior and destructive race. But he was quickly made to realize that he had not been blessed with the same creative powers as the good mind, for as he breathed life into them, his clay figures turned into hideous apes. Infuriated by this discovery, the bad mind thundered through the island like a terrible whirlwind, uprooting fruit trees and wringing the necks of animals and birds. Only one, like a terrible whirlwind, only one thing would now satisfy his anger: a bloody, ruthless combat to the death. And with this purpose in mind, he hastened toward his twin brother's dwelling. Weary of the destruction he had witnessed, the good mind willingly submitted himself to the contest that would decide the ruler of the earth. The bad mind was keen to discover anything that might help destroy his brother's temporal life, and began to question him rather slyly on the type of weapons they should use. "Tell me," he said, "what particular instrument would cause you the most injury, so that I may avoid its use as a gesture of goodwill." Hagwediyu could see through this evil strategy, however, and falsely informed him that he would be struck down by a lotus arrow. "There is nothing I fear," the bad mind boasted, but Hagwediyu knew this to be untrue, and wisely remembered that ever since childhood, the horns of a stag had always induced feelings of terror in his brother. The battle began and lasted for 2 days and 2 nights, causing panic and disruption throughout the earth as mountains shook violently under the strains of the combat and rivers overflowed with the blood of both brothers. At last, however, the bad mind could no longer ignore the temptation to shoot the lotus arrow in his brother's direction. The good mind responded by charging at him with the stag horns, impaling him on their sharp points until he screamed in pain and fell to the ground, begging for mercy. Hagwediyu, the supreme ruler of the earth, immediately banished his evil brother to a dark pit beneath the surface of the world, ordering him to never return. Gathering together as many hideous beasts and monsters as he could find, he flung them below so that they might share their life. Gathering together as many hideous beasts and monsters as he could find, he flung them below so that they might share with their creator of a life of eternal doom. Some escaped his grasp, however, and remained on earth as severers, half human and half beasts. That just says servers, not severers, sorry. Servers, half human and half beast, eager to continue destructive work of the bad mind who had now become known as the evil spirit. Hagwediyu, faithful to the wishes of his grandfather, the great ruler, carried on with his good work on the floating island, filling with the woodlands with game, slaying the monsters, teaching the Indians to make fire and to raise crops, and instructing them in many of the other arts of life until the time had come for him to retire from the earth to a celestial home. I never think about how bad I am at reading out loud until I do these videos, but I don't know, I like hearing stories